Hey, this is Andrea.
And this is Amanda.
I am the sword in the darkness.
And you're listening to Girls Nerd Out.
I am the watcher on the walls.
And now our rewatch has begun.
Dracarys.
Hey everybody, welcome to all people that are new, and welcome back to our loyal listeners that we appreciate so much. It's me, Amanda, and my best friend, Andrea.
Hey.
And we're excited to talk to you about episode 6 of season 2 of Game of Thrones.
Go into 8. I love it.
Okay,
It's a great opening to me.
Yes. It's very amazing. So it's called the Prince of Winterfell, which is a chapter in the books, which is, I like that. So Yara is here, but Theon notices that she didn't bring a lot of people with her. There's, I don't know how many people come in there with her, like maybe 10. And then when he goes into the Great Hall, she's like, why, it's the Prince of Winterfell. And Theon goes, envy isn't attractive. Theon tells her that he took Winterfell with 20 men. And then she's like, oh, okay, yeah, you did. But which one gave you the tougher fight? The disabled child or the 6-year-old?
I mean,
we're Ironborn.
She's just savage to him, and it's just great. I love Yara. I really do.
Oh, me too. And she had every right to act like this because it's like, yeah, you held the castle for 20 people, but you murdered children and they were your brothers too. You were raised with them. Anyway, so she doesn't say that, but in my head, I said that. And he does have a right to take the castle because she's like, we're Ironborn. We take what we need, but you made them prisoners and they ran away and you got pissed about it.
He doesn't understand what being Ironborn means, and Yara's being a bit of a hard ass, but what she says is true.
But he is a dumb cunt.
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah, but I also like the fact though that he's still being arrogant. And he's saying he's keeping Winterfell. He does not want to let it go, and she tells everybody to leave before she talks to him. And I would think her guys probably assume that she's going to jump his ass. Don't you think?
Yeah, I think she probably should have, to be honest. But because she's correct. We're islanders and power comes from the ships. But Theon's just like, I'm just going to stay here. And she tells him a story about how he was as a baby. He was a terrible baby and he was crying all the time and never slept. And there was one night where it was just so bad that she goes to his crib and looks down at him and she wanted to strangle him. But when he looked up at her, he stopped screaming and smiled at her.
Okay, that part kind of broke me a little bit for them. Because I like Yara so much. Because, again, facial acting. Her face softens so much telling that story. Her voice softens. She's trying really hard to get him to understand. She doesn't want him to die.
No. And it just shows that Yara's a better sister than Cersei.
Oh, hell yeah. And it also shows because she admits, she says, we loved our mother, we endured our father. And it's okay, so you know what Balon Greyjoy is. You know what I mean? She's trying to, she's giving him common ground. Hey, look, we had the same childhood when we were little. She just wanted him to come home. And it kind of broke me a little bit.
Their mom is alive in the. Well, I don't know if she's dead yet in the books, but she was alive at this point of the story in the books, and in the show they had her be dead. So.
Yeah, for whatever reason.
I don't want it. I never have.
John, I'm going to meet the Lord of Bones.
Yeah. Okay, so Ygritte brings Jon to the Lord of Bones, who is, what would we call him? If Mance Rayder is the king, then I guess the Lord of Bones would be like what?
Yeah, I think he's like the leader of them.
Yeah.
Like, not the king, but he's like,
He would
yeah,
be,
that's
yeah, he would
basically.
be military if they had military. Like
Yeah.
that. And Ygritte actually sticks up for Jon because the Lord of Bones is like, well, I'll just kill him. And she is like, no, he knows things. Later, he knows nothing. But she's like, this is Ned Stark's bastard from Winterfell, which gives the Lord of Bones pause. And he's like, why would Mance care about that? And Ygritte's like, well, I think Mance should figure that out. So she really goes to bat for him, which she says is just, we're even now, but it's more than that. She didn't want him to get killed.
She loves him already.
I mean, so we see Qhorin Halfhand and Jon ask about the others. And Qhorin tells him, we went looking for you. And Jon is heartbroken and he says, they died because of me. And Qhorin gives him a very mysterious reply with, see that it wasn't for nothing. And we'll later on know what that meant. But the look on Jon's face, knowing that those people died looking for him, it hurt him bad.
How can a man be brave if he's afraid? That is the only time a man can be brave, he told me.
Next scene, we got Robb and Talisa, and she's asking if his wife-to-be is pretty. And kind of makes a statement that she has an issue with her father. Like, it's just like a little hint. So, I don't really know exactly what that means, but Robb is talking about his dad because Lisa says that, like, all the soldiers loved Ned. And it's a really good quote because Robb says that he asked his father, what is it like? And I love it. Ned basically says that he was always afraid because he's responsible for everyone. And that he, went to bed with fear and woke up with fear. And the quote that I really like that Robb says is, how can a man be brave if he's afraid? And Ned says, that's the only time a man can be brave. So Ned did really well when he was at Winterfell. That was what he was supposed to do. And he took care of his people. So the Starks should stay in the North.
Yeah. Also, she makes fun of the bridge thing in there, and I just hate that.
Oh, yeah.
You're marrying for a bridge. Yeah, an important bridge. Like, do you not get it? She's stupid.
Yeah, and she calls it a bridge. Like, it's just like, like some little wooden bridge that they could have jumped over. And I'm like, okay. We get it.
If you think this has a happy ending, you haven't been paying attention.
Next, we're still with them, but one of Robb's men rides up on a horse and says, hey, the Kingslayer escaped in the night. And Robb's like, how? And then it cuts to Cat. And Robb is pissed. And he says, Jaime Lannister has played you for a fool. What do you think?
Yes. She was an idiot for letting him go.
Agreed.
I blame. There's two things you can blame on what happens at the Red Wedding. You can blame him for marrying somebody he shouldn't, which I still think they would have killed him a different way anyway. It didn't matter who he got with, but it did cause an uproar with his men. So that's partly why I think he is dead, because of that. And also because his mom gave up Jaime Lannister for 2 daughters.
And the thing is, like, Kat uses the excuse of that they were going to kill Jaime. Okay, ma'am. Then why didn't you go gather up the most loyal that you knew and guard him through the night till Robb got back? I'm sorry. Like, that's not an excuse, Kat. It's just not.
And Rickard Karstark makes a really good point. He's like, I lost 2 kids in this, fighting for Robb and the Kingslayer killing one. And because Catelyn says that she has 5 kids and only one of them are free. And he goes, you commit treason because your children are prisoners. I haven't committed treason. He hasn't at all. I mean, he will at some point, but yeah.
And the Karstarks were some of the most loyal they had.
Yes, and but Catelyn also makes sense because killing Jaime Lannister would not bring his kids back.
No, that is true, but
you gave him up for your daughters,
and you sent him with one person.
Yeah, and who's to say what would happen if she died?
No, I mean, like you lose
Brienne.
everything.
Yeah.
Again, Kat, thank you. You've done a great job. I mean, like, Kat does a great job with the Lannisters. You know, I'm going to arrest Tyrion. I'm going to let Jaime go. Like,
I know. And, like, I get it. As a mom, I get it. But, like, it's stupid. I blame her for the entire thing.
Hell yeah, I do too. But, like, here's the thing. I thought Robb was her favorite. And then it's like she just picks and chooses what kids that she's, you know, taking care of. Like, it's like, okay, Robb's her boy. She's there with Robb and, like, doesn't give a shit that Bran and Rickon are kids at Winterfell. Then, like, you know, here's the Kingslayer. Oh my God, I remember Sansa and Arya. Oh, I should do something about that. Like, really, Kat? Really? That now I understand why she was so shitty to Jon. Like, I'm sorry. People could stay mad. Kat Tully is not a great mother. She's just not. And that's my opinion. I don't like her. Andrea and I like her a lot better when she's a zombie.
Yep.
Sorry. Not sorry. That's just, look, that's not a hill I'm going to die on, but, like, that's like I don't know, whatever's less than a hill that I'm going to stand on.
Well, and Jaime and Brienne were entrusted to bring Arya and Sansa back home, and I mean, she does get to do that in the show, but in the books, she hasn't been able to.
No, it's worse. So, and that's another thing.
She might die because of it.
Exactly. And that's another thing. Like we also know things that, like, Book Cat's done, so it's like being extra irritated.
The things I do for love.
The next scene is Jaime and Brienne, and she's letting the horses go. And he's had, like, a sack over his head, so he wouldn't know where they were going, which is smart. And, of course, Jaime says, "You're much uglier in daylight."
No, she's not. She's so pretty. It's like, I wish they would have made her ugly, but they didn't.
Yeah, like, in the books, like, she's not attractive at all. Like, she's got some very unfortunate features and stuff, like buck teeth, I think, and, like, a lot of other stuff. But, I mean, Gwendolyn Christie is gorgeous, so it kind of makes it silly, but okay. Now, I want to ask you this. I want your opinion on this so bad. As soon as I heard this, I was like, I need to know. Jaime says there are 3 men in the kingdom that might have a chance with him, meaning they may beat him in a fight. He doesn't say who. Who do you think that is? I came up with 3, but I don't know.
Well, I think John's one of them. Maybe. Yeah, you say yours and I'll think of mine.
Barristan Selmy. I think maybe Oberyn. And then I had trouble with a third, and I said the Mountain. And I don't know if the Mountain is correct. So,
well,
I wish he would have said. Yeah. Why couldn't he have just said the 3? Because I wanted to know.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, the Mountain, possibly. But I feel like Jaime could just stand and get the Mountain tired out, you know, but that's possible that he could still beat him. Okay, yeah, so I think Oberyn too. That makes sense. I think Jon, just because Jon is a good fighter. I mean, book Jon, probably not, but show Jon, yes. Probably Barristan, Selma. You're right. Barristan could beat him, even though he's old.
Yeah, definitely Barristan. And we know Jamie knows Barristan really well. So, and I do think it's Oberyn. I think Jamie knows how lethal the Red Viper is. So, I like that line, but I was mad. I was like, say the names, damn it. And of course he doesn't.
I like how he asks her if she's been with any men, probably not women. Horses. I was like, really?
He's such a shit, but it's funny. I mean,
I like his relationship with her. I do.
Jamie, this is Jamie after he's been like, captured, and he's just kind of like got this, I don't know, like this effort attitude. And it makes him really funny, actually, because like now he's just admitting that Cersei's the only woman he's ever slept with, and he's just like, you know what, this is all just ridiculous and bleak, and I might die at any time. I'm just gonna be a smart ass. And it's like, okay, Jamie, do that. Do it. No problem.
A lion doesn't concern himself with the opinions of a sheep.
Next, we go back to Harrenhal, and we have Kevin Lannister, who is actually Tywin's brother. Yep. And Kevin is saying that King's Landing will fall within an hour after Stannis lands his forces. And Kevin says that they should surrender, and Tywin is like, hell to the no. To the no, no, no. And they talk about Robb, and they're trying to downplay Robb. And Tywin brings up, like, no, this is a bold boy that's never lost. So, I mean, he's going to keep going. And he's frustrated because he's like, no, Kevin, we can't surrender. And then he's like, no, we can't ignore Robb Stark. Like, he's just frustrated with his council again, which I would be too.
But I kind of understand wanting to surrender because it's better than having Cersei and Joffrey's heads mounted on the wall, you know?
That Lannister pride. That damn Lannister pride. It's there. And so Tywin says that they're going to ride at nightfall. And he tells the mountain, Clegane, to track down the Brotherhood. And he immediately says, the girl's proven herself a good servant. She'll stay on with you. And he's meaning Arya because she's standing right there. And he looks at her and says, see that he doesn't get drunk in the evenings. He's poor company when he's sober, but he's better at his work. And I honestly think Tywin would have taken her with him if he wasn't going to King's Landing to fight.
Yeah.
I think he left her at Harrenhal because, I mean, she's somewhat safe, not going right into like a horrible battle with Stannis. So, I mean, like, I didn't really notice that until the rewatch, but I do think he would have taken her, I think.
Vala Morgulis.
Vala Morgulis.
Basically, Jaqen is gone. He was on patrol, according to Hot Pie. That's basically the scene, because she's desperate. She's very desperate because she wants Tywin to die before he leaves.
And
but he leaves.
Yes.
So.
Yep. And the thing is, what's so ironic about it is she had plenty of time to tell Jaqen to kill Tywin, but at those moments she didn't want to.
Yeah.
You know?
She liked
him. And it wasn't until he was about to leave that she kind of snaps out of it and is like, oh, no, that was my third name. But again, I'm just glad we got that scene. Like you said, I do think it's a good change because in the books it's Roose. So iconic. Yeah.
Winter is coming.
We go back to the north, and Corin is talking to Jon, and he say, look, Mance is going to march on the wall. And if he does that, we're screwed. And yeah, bad. And Corin tells Jon, one brother inside his army will be worth 1,000 fighting against it, which is true. He's saying one person gets in there and talks to Mance, finds out what's going on, that's worth more than if we had 1,000 more people to fight. And he's right. But Jon's like, they're not going to trust me. And Corin says they might if you do what needs to be done. And that is Corin telling Jon, this is what I'm about to do, what I'm about to do. So right after that, Corin starts acting like he's fighting with Jon and says, how does it feel knowing all those men died for you so you could skip through the snow with your little savage girl? And Jon's like, I didn't. And Corin says, I should have known better, trusting a traitor's bastard. And then he pushes him, and then Jon falls. And then the Lord of Bones is like, hey, he's not yours to kill. So that now we understand what Corin is talking about. He is going to act like he's pissed at Jon to ingratiate Jon to the wildlings.
When you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die.
Oh God, it's Bran. Please talk about it.
Yeah, he's so him and Tyrion are sitting down, and Bran is cleaning his fingers with fingernails with a dagger. It looks like, and Tyrion's like, "Do you have to do that like right now? Like what are you doing? You shouldn't be doing it. It's disgusting habit." But he says he likes to have clean fingers, and Tyrion tells him that he needs to wear a gold cloak because he is the Lord Commander of the gold cloaks. He should be wearing one. But Bran makes a point. He doesn't like it. It doesn't look right, and the fact that the gold you need to be like at night you'd be easily seen. And Tyrion's like, well, it's not like you're going to be skulking through the, at night in alleyways anymore because you are the head of the gold cloaks. Like, he doesn't get it.
No.
Because Tyrion's like, you're supposed to stand out, which is true. He is. Daemon would never. Daemon, anyway.
No. Say it. The full sentence. Daemon Targaryen would never. I mean, you got to say it.
Daemon Targaryen would never.
Thank you. She's not kidding, y'all. She's not kidding, and she's right.
No, it's true. Okay, so he's like, he doesn't understand why he's there, and Tyrion's like, you're here to help me plan the defense of King's Landing against, Stannis. And he's reading a book, A History of the Great Sieges of Westeros, and it's written by Archmaester. He has trouble saying the name, which is funny, because that's how I have that feeling sometimes too when I read the books. I'm like, what name is this now? Like, especially all the people in Marine. I'm like, what is that name?
Same.
So he's having issues, and what is Bran says that he is
Shavalti or whatever.
Shavalti.
Bran knows how to say it, which again we're like, what?
I don't understand how he knows how to say it
either. Like, okay, we get that little tidbit that he's been north of the Wall, and now he actually knows how to pronounce the author of History of the Great Sieges of Westeros. It's like, and we never get told anything. Never.
No. And that Archmaester does not exist in the books.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
But I like how Varys has the same issue with saying it.
Yeah, they have no idea, and Bran's just like, yeah. And I can't even remember how Bran says it, but it's apparently the correct way.
Yeah, and so Varys is there, and he basically admires Bran of how he's been with the Gold Cloaks because there's been less thievery. And Tyrion's like, well, how'd you do that? Well, we rounded them all up. I mean, the only thing we have to worry about is the unknown thieves. And Tyrion's upset because they've had this discussion. He's not supposed to be cruel, but extreme measures have to happen for this to stop, because he's like, hey, people don't talk about this in wars, but starving kills more people than actual fighting. And people will give up their jewels for a sack of potatoes, and like thieves will take all the food, and they'll be the richest people when the war is over.
Which is a very good point that Tyrion has not thought about.
Yeah, and I have no problem, because it reminds me of Daemon, how Daemon deals with the small folk, the thieves, the assaulters, all the murderers, how he deals with it. You have to be extreme.
Well, and here's a really valid point. Who is coming to lay siege to King's Landing? Stannis Baratheon. What is Stannis Baratheon known for? holding Storm's End while under siege. So that tells you you're screwed. So
yeah, and he managed to hold Storm's End the longest time.
He sure did. So that means he knows what he's doing. And you always say Stannis is a military mind guy. So,
Follow your favorite podcasters on all social media at Southern Mother of Dragons and at the Princess of Dragonstone.
Next we go to the north, but we're actually with Sam and Ed. Jesus Christ. So, Ed is basically saying like, Jon's probably dead. And Sam's like, he's not dead. Jon's a great fighter. He's got a Valyrian steel sword. And Ed's like, so did his father. And Grin has a shovel and he clangs against something. It's really, one thing I thought was kind of funny. It's like this big thing, like, is it a shield or something? It's big and heavy. And Sam says, help me with this. And then does nothing. And Grin lifts the entire thing. I was like,
Sam's kind of pathetic in this show.
Yeah. Now Ed makes a good point. He says if you find something you're not supposed to, the best thing to do is pretend you've never seen it. I mean, it's not wrong.
Well, what they found is a Night's Watch cloak, and inside is the Horn of Winter that they don't even say anything about, and dragon glass.
Will you tell them what the Horn of Winter is? Because I don't know if they even explain that.
No, they don't. I don't even think they talk about the Horn of Winter in the show, to be honest. So the Horn of Winter is also known as the Horn of Jaruman, and it's Jaruman's horn. It's a legendary horn with magical properties.
Yep.
And that's what that was. And I didn't expect it to look like that. I expected it to look better than that, and they don't even talk about it. So I thought, how we always say we think of it more than they do.
They might bring it up, but if they do, they call it the Horn of Joramun, and I think they just basically say, like, if you blow the horn, it's supposed to, like, bring down the wall, but I don't know. Sometimes I get book and show mixed, so I can't remember.
I forgot. I think they probably, you're probably right. They probably did say something.
It might be when he meets Mance, and they're in, like, his tent.
Well, they still should have been like, oh, look at this horn. It's so cool. And it just looks like a regular horn.
Yeah, stupid. They're looking at the dragon glass and like nothing said about the horn, which is weird.
There is only one God, and his name is Death.
So next we go back to Harrenhal, and basically it's Arya, and she has found Jaqen, and she's like, I was looking for you, Tywin's gone. And she finds out, like, Jaqen can kill Tywin, but, like, it's probably going to be too late. So she is very tricky. And he's like, give a man a name. And she's like, any name? And he's like, yeah. And she's like, Jaqen Hagar. And he's like, oh my God, no. I'm not going to off myself. And he's just appalled. And sneaky, smart Arya, she's like, well, help my friends and me escape, and I will give you a different name. And he's like, all right, a girl lacks honor. If I do this thing, a girl must obey. And she says, a girl will obey. And he says, a girl and her friends, he says a girl and her friends will walk through the gate at midnight. Good for her.
But did you notice that he said, I promise by the old gods and the new gods?
Yep, I highlighted it.
Why the hell did he say that? He is a faceless man.
I guess since the old gods and the new have already been mentioned, I guess they just put that there, because if he had said because Syrio said there is only one God, and his name.
Yeah, the God of death.
There's only one God, and his name is Death. And what do we say to the God of death? Not today. I don't know. But that's just a screw up.
He talks about, R'hllor and now the new gods and the old. I'm like, whatever, Jaqen. I don't know what you're trying to be now.
I don't know.
Everyone who isn't us is an enemy.
Next, we are in Cersei's chambers, and Tyrion is there. And Tyrion is eating, and he's like, "Excellent lamprey pie. Were you slaving away in the kitchens all day?" It's just funny. And he says that he hears that Joffrey plans on fighting. And he says an inspiration for the troops. I mean, it's total sarcasm, but Cersei is appalled by it, and she's like, he's only a boy, and he's not ready. And Tyrion says, what is he, 17? Remember Jaime at 17? And Cersei says, better than you. Some men have a gift for this sort of thing, some don't. His place is not on the battlefield. And Tyrion says, it's not on the throne either, sadly for all of us. Which is true.
Yeah.
And she knows that. And Cersei mentions Myrcella being shipped off, and she says, now you want to send my eldest son to battle to die. And she is not happy. And she makes a statement about Varys. She says, do you know why Varys is so dangerous? And Tyrion's like, because he has thousands of spies. And she says, because he doesn't have a penis. And Tyrion says, neither do you. And she says, perhaps I'm dangerous too. You, on the other hand, are as big a fool as every other man. That little worm between your legs does half your thinking. You know, and what she says about Varys is kind of true. Because, like, his motivations are unclear. Because you don't know what Varys wants. I mean, it's not just because he's a eunuch. But, I mean, it does kind of make him... like, is he on this side? Is he on this side? Like, what's his goal? You know? So she does kind of have a point. I got to give it to her. And then we get the iconic line. Why are you smiling? Because I'm happy. And why are you happy? Because I have your little whore. You want to take over after that?
Yeah. So the little whore that she thinks is who he loves, is Ross. Yep. And he doesn't like say, oh no, that's not her. He just, cause Roz is, her hair is down. She looks a mess. She was hit a few times. It looks like, and it's, I hate that. Too. And he goes on pretending that is her. And, even though it's not, but he wants Cersei to think that she won. So, I mean, not really win, but you know what I mean.
He says, I'm sorry they hurt you. You must be brave. Yeah. And he takes her hand and he says, I promise I will free you. And she says, don't forget me. Don't forget. And he says, never. Yeah. And I hate it because I love Ross.
Me too. But when she leaves, he tells Cersei, I will hurt you for this. There will be a day where you are safe and happy, and you'll have a lot, joy, and your joy will turn to ashes inside your mouth.
And you will know the debt is paid, which is what she said to him when Myrcella was shipped to Dorne. Next, heartbreaking, I put a frowny face. Tyrion gets to his chambers with Shae as fast as he can. He's out of breath. And he just screams, Shae. And she's at the window. And he says, you're beautiful. And he tells her there are people who want to hurt me. And she says, I know. I won't let them. I will cut off their faces. I will. And Tyrion looks at her with like all the love in the world and says, I would kill for you. Do you know that? I expect I'll have to before this is over. You're mine. And Shae says, I'm yours. Tyrion says, promise me. And Shae says, I'm yours and you are mine. Sad.
Do you think she really loved him?
I don't think Shae can love.
Not this Shae.
I don't think she can love anyone. I think the closest love she had was for Sansa. I don't think Shae is capable of actual love. And I don't know what to call that. It is just a tremendous amount of self-preservation is the only thing I know how to explain it as. But no, I don't think she loved him. I don't think she can.
You know, his dad is a horrible, I mean, I like show Tywin, I do, but he's a horrible person because this is not the first time he's done this to him with like, you know, him and Jamie, like coming up with a plan to have that, you know, his first wife, love, like she acted like she loved him and they got married and it was all just a fake. And this is a fake too.
Except Tysha was really in love with him. Tysha was really his wife. And
oh yeah, but I'm just being like, they made him feel horrible about it.
Yeah.
And they do it with Shay too. Well, not Jamie, but it's just sad. I just think Tywin's just a shitty person.
He is. And the thing is though, like, okay, as far as I know, they've never tried to like betroth him to anyone. Like, what do you want him to do? Like, I don't know.
They force him to marry Sansa, and then, but not for love. Obviously, it's just for what, like he wants him to have a son, like a child, and like with a child, it's fucking weird.
And honestly, Tywin should have had Tyrion betrothed a long time ago. So, I mean,
well, just like you said, second sons are throwaways. Yeah, they're spared.
Spare. And like, he's a spare to Tywin, honestly.
And he didn't realize that his own grandsons are Jaime's kids.
Tywin knows. When he's talking to Olenna, he knows, but he's buried that so damn deep, he can't even think about it. But anyway.
Winter is coming.
All right, so we're back in the Riverlands, and Robb is stressed as hell, and he's talking to Roose Bolton. He's like, still no word, and Roose says, we sent 12 ravens, none have returned. And he says, my bastard is only a few days from Winterfell once he captures the castle. And Robb is worried because he's like, Theon has my brothers, like if we capture the castle, you know. And Roose is like, he wouldn't dare hurt the boys. They're his only hope of escaping the north with his head, which Roose is not wrong. Not wrong. They just don't know, you know. Way to go, Theon. So Robb says, send word to your son. Robb doesn't say bastard. I'm just saying.
Because he loves Jon.
He loves Jon. And Robb wouldn't have anyway, honestly. I really like Robb. I really do. I think Robb would have been a really good king. I know he didn't want it. I don't want it. But we're supposed to love Robb. We're supposed to love Robb because it makes it hurt worse. It's fine. So he even says any Ironborn who surrender will be allowed to return safely to their homes, with the exception of Theon. He betrayed our cause. He betrayed me. And we will hunt him down no matter where he runs. And Roose makes a very good point. He says, I expect his countrymen will turn on him the minute they hear the offer, which is true. And Robb is, this is what, would you call this Robb's, like, crash out, basically? Because he says, Talisa comes in and says, how are you? And she goes, I'm sorry. It's not funny, but like, the fact that she's just like, how are you? He's like, how am I? I've had to arrest my mother. The Lannisters have my sisters. The man I considered my closest friend has seized my home and brothers. I'm fighting a war. I don't know if I should march south or north. He's got a lot on his mind, Talisa, but I'm really glad you're here. Sorry. How are you? Well, shit, I don't know. Everything sucks. Thank you.
I also think it was a bad time for her to bring up a story about her brother, because I'm like, girl, I mean, she even apologizes, like, you're letting me ramble, and you know, you're the one that came to me with your problems, and I'm giving you problems too, and it's like, really, girl, that, like, read the room. Read the fucking room.
So we finally find out why she's there. she was highborn, and there was a heat wave in Volantis, and they all went out to play in the Rhine, which is a river, and all the kids were out there because it was so hot. Her brother drowns, and she can't do anything, and then a slave comes up and basically does CPR and saves her brother. The slave had a fish tattoo on his face, which means he worked on a ship, because all the slaves in Volantis have a tattoo of what they do on their face, so you don't even have to speak to them. You know, like prostitutes have a tear, and I think there's a fly tattoo for the ones that like shovel shit. It's bleak. Volantis has the most slaves of any place. So, to make us like Talisa, she said after that happened that she would never live in a place that had slaves again. So, yeah.
And she also doesn't want to do like highborn lady stuff like dances and masquerades. And Robb tells her that he doesn't want to marry the Frey girl.
Yeah.
And she doesn't want him to marry her either, and they kiss. Biggest mistake of their lives.
Yeah, they bang on the floor.
Yeah.
Which, honestly, if this wasn't Crash Out Robb, I would probably really be puzzled by it, because I'm sorry, Robb is the type, he would have like taken her to a bed or something. I don't know.
He was desperate.
Yeah, I think he just wanted to not be angry and pain.
He wanted to feel something else.
He wanted to feel something else, and he did. So there's all that. Yeah, it's done. It's pretty much done. Next we go to Harrenhal, and God, Hot Pie is talking about what it's pie, right?
Yeah.
And Gendry's like, what, really?
They leave through the gate because Jaqen promised that they would get to leave, and they're dead. The people at the gates are dead.
Because
that's all I wrote in my notes.
We can't tell, and they're freaked out about, the guards, but they get close and realize all the guards are dead.
The night is dark and full of terrors of men, but the fire burns them all away.
Next we have Stannis, and what do you think about all this? Like Stannis, like complaining. Like, does it irritate you? Does it make you feel sorry for him? I'm just curious.
I feel sorry for him because he is the second son, and I don't understand why Robert Baratheon tells him to hold Storm's End and expect him to keep holding it, and then not get to keep the castle like for himself. Like, you would think that he would get it. The second son should get it. I mean, just like, like I'll compare it to Aenys and Maegor. Aenys is the firstborn son, so naturally he'd be the heir to the Iron Throne. Maegor would be the Prince of Dragonstone. It makes a lot of sense. So why wouldn't Robert let Stannis keep and give it to Renly? Because Renly is a third. That's another throwaway.
Yep. I don't know.
But Renly should have like a smaller house or something, not the whole fucking Storm's End. Or they could have ruled it together, which I don't see Stannis doing that. Stannis is very by the book, and then when he gave it to Renly, he gave up he gave it up.
Yeah, it's basically what we find out is that Stannis did what his brother asked him to do. Robert said hold Storm's End, so he held Storm's End, and he thought his wife was dying, and this is when Davos sneaks in with food, and that's what saved their lives, which is why Stannis is so close to Davos. And Stannis says, Robert said, give Renly Storm's End, so he did it. So he's basically saying, I did everything Robert asked me to. And there's pain behind that. And I don't actually know why, unless Robert just liked Renly more because Renly looked like a young Robert. Hell, it could have been a damn narcissistic thing. I don't know.
Well, yeah, and Stannis says, "I've always done my duty," and that really hurt. And I'm not a Stannis fan, so
Stannis fan or not, it is sad. It's sad as hell because he's basically telling Davos, "Why didn't my brother love me?" I mean, that's what it is. That's what he's saying. And why did he love Renly so much? So, and then we get Stannis telling Davos that when he sits on the Iron Throne, that Davos is going to be his hand.
Yep. And he says, didn't he say he's like probably the first Crabber's son to have the badge?
Stannis says, "I expect you'll be the first Crabber's son to wear the badge." So
I love the hand. Sir Davos is a great hand.
Hell yeah, he is. We love Davos.
I wish we could have gotten him more with Jon because I liked their relationship more than him and Stannis, but it is what it is.
Hell, I wish Davos had been hand for Daenerys.
I am the king!
Any man who must say, "I am the king," is no true king.
Next we go back to King's Landing, and Joffrey's bitching at Varys. He's being so cocky, and he's like, "You're supposed to do it."
He looks good, though.
He does. He does. It's that he's getting it from the Silk King. Joffrey always looks great. Looks fantastic. So he's pissed at Varys, and he's like, "You're supposed to know everything." And he says, "No man can be in all rooms at all times. I have many little birds in the north, but my lord, I haven't heard their song since Theon Greyjoy captured Winterfell." So Joffrey saying when his uncle Stannis gets to the shores, he's going to go out and greet him. They say Stannis never smiles. I'll give him a red smile from ear to ear.
He's so cocky.
And that's just so. And then Tyrion's like, "I imagine Stannis' terror." And Varys says, "I'm trying." So, it's kind of funny.
I don't mind cockiness in people if they actually have something to back that up, like Jaime. Like, that's understandable, cocky. What's his face? Dario Naharis, Euron Greyjoy. Like, they actually have a reason to be cocky. But Joffrey hasn't even used his sword yet.
He's so shit.
He fought with Bran and Rickon with sticks.
It's BS.
Sorry, Robb, not Bran and Rickon.
It's BS.
It is.
So this is when you realize that, Tyrion and Varys really do have a friendship. And Varys is complimentary of Tyrion. He tells him he's really good at being hand. And he says Jon Arryn and Ned Stark were good men, honorable men, but they disdain the game and those who played. You enjoy the game, which is true. And they're talking about how Stannis is rumored to burn his enemies alive to honor the Lord of Light. And Tyrion says, "The Lord of Light wants his enemies burned. The drowned god wants them drowned. Why are all the gods such vicious cunts? Where's the god? Where's the god of tits and wine?"
Oh, but Varys is like
the Summer Isles.
The Summer Isles worship a female god with 16 teats.
Yeah, and he's like, "We should sail there immediately." All right, so proving that Varys does get information, he tells Tyrion, "This morning I heard a song all the way from Karth beyond the Red Waste. Daenerys Targaryen lives." And Tyrion says, "A girl at the edge of the world is the least of our problems." And Varys says, "She has 3 dragons, but even if what they say is true, it'll be years before they're fully grown. And then there will be nowhere to hide." I mean, it's not wrong. It's true.
Varys is the only one worried about that. Well, not really worried. Well, Joffrey is too. Joffrey will be eventually, but...
Because Tyrion says one game at a time, my friend, and just puts it out of his head.
Ugh. It's just like Cersei, like completely
Yep.
ignoring it in the books. It's like, girl, you're stupid. You're all
It's like they
stupid.
don't like they all think that 3 dragons is just nothing. It's like they think that she's got 3 lizards and it's just a joke. Fine.
And they don't even know. They don't even know about because they didn't put young Griff in the show, but young Griff is on his way too, and they have to worry about that.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, Daenerys loves being underestimated. She loves it.
Yep.
Some of the best moments are when she's vastly underestimated. So keep doing it. Keep thinking the little princess that can't do anything. Let's see how that works out for you.
Targaryens are gone. Not all of them.
Next, we go to Karth, and Daenerys is kind of peering through this boarded up entryway, and Jorah's like, hey, you need to be careful. Zara owns this city. The warlocks have 1,000 eyes watching you. And he's found a ship, and the ship leaves for Astapor tomorrow. And she's like, Astapor? And he says, we cannot stay here. Daenerys says, they have my dragons. A mother does not flee without her children. I love that quote. I actually have that framed. And Jorah says, they're not your children. I know they call you the mother of dragons, and I know you love them, but you didn't grow them in your womb. They didn't suckle at your breast. They are dragons, Khaleesi, and if we stay in Karth, we'll die. Okay? Side note, she did suckle them at her breasts. They decided to remove that in the show. She had full milk ducts because she lost her son Rhaego, and she breastfeeds all 3 dragons in the books. They are her children. Sorry, just had to say that again.
And they are the only children she will have, which I don't believe that in the books.
True.
I believe she will get pregnant again.
So she gets completely disgusted with him and says, you should sail to Astapor. I'm sure you'll be safe there. And Jorah says, you know I would die for you. I will never abandon you. I'm sworn to protect you, to serve. And she says, then serve me. If my dragons are at the House of Undying, then take me there. And he makes a good point. He's like, that's what they want. Their magic is strong. And she makes a very good point here. She says, and what of my magic? You saw me step into the fire. You watched the witch burn. What did the flames do to me? Do you remember? And this is what gets me. Jorah says, until my last breath, I will remember, after I have forgotten my mother's face. He delivers that line so well that I teared up. And Daenerys touches his face. And if you weren't crying already, Daenerys says, they are my children. And they are the only children I will ever have. Take me to them. Damn, I'm starting to tear up again. Ugh. Take me to them. Yes, I agree with Andrea. I do think she will have a child. Yes, Andrea's correct.
Well, they were going to make it in the show, her being pregnant with Jon's kid, but they decided
They
not to do
filmed
that.
scenes with her pregnant. You can find the photos online. It's true.
Yep.
And it's really sad.
I don't know why they couldn't do that.
Because they didn't want her to be human.
Because that's the person that I think she's going to have a child with. Or, I mean, I don't think, because I believe she's going to have 2 husbands. I'm not saying that the second guy won't have a kid with her too, but because I don't know if they would even have time for that. But I definitely believe she's going to get pregnant with Jon.
I think so too. And I think she's probably currently having a miscarriage where we leave her in the books.
What is dead may never die!
Okay. Oh, yeah. We're going back to Winterfell. You mind talking about it?
Yeah. I didn't really write notes in it, but I will go scene by a little bit.
It's basically like Theon is lost.
Theon is lost, and he wants to take down the boys. He wants to bury them, which they should. But Dagmar's just like, nah, you got to leave it up a few days because, hello, they're yeah. You got to make it look like you did something here, pretty much, which he did. But it's sick. It's sick to keep them up there. But Maester Luwin walks up to them, and he knows that they're not Bran and Rickon, because they're hiding in the crypts, which that's not a good place to hide. I think that's the scariest place to be, and I'm really shocked that Hodor would go down there. But I guess according to George, that was the only time he was afraid, was when the comet flew by. So, but Asha doesn't like it, so I'm shocked that she's down there. But they're gonna escape.
Yeah, it's really sad because Maester Luwin is telling Asha that the 2 orphan boys were the ones that were killed, and he's saying, "Don't tell them." And Asha's like, "They won't hear it from me. The little lords have been through enough." And then it pans over. Rickon's asleep. Hodor's asleep. Bran heard every word, and the look on his little face.
Yeah, even Luwin says that Bran will blame himself, which, yes.
And they didn't think Bran was awake. They didn't want him to know that 2 boys died for him. And you know the name they give him, Bran the Broken? That was Bran the Broken, that little boy. And it didn't mean physically. It was... Bran is the one that said, we couldn't go to the kitchens. They'll hang somebody and it'll, be on us. And now he knows 2 of his friends died. Not because of him, but he thinks it's because of him.
Yeah. They didn't mention what happened to the farmer. Is he dead too, I'm assuming?
Actually, yeah. Dagmar killed him and his wife because Theon tries to give him some money, and he's vague about it. But he does say about the farmer. He says he's feeding the crops now. And then Dagmar says his wife too. You want to keep a man silent, you silence him. So he killed them. They're all dead. Yeah. I know.
That's really
I
cool.
know. Theon was going to send gold to him. But...
yeah, I remember that. But I just don't remember if they killed him or
Theon
not.
didn't even know.
Yeah. No.
And he does give Dagmar a look like, holy shit.
That says a lot about Theon as a leader, because they did something behind his back and he didn't even question it.
Dagmar's been
manipulating.
You're right. Dagmar's been manipulating him the entire time.
Oh yeah. I mean, we'll see when he definitely betrays him more later.
Look, okay. I compare it to this. In the books, Reek, who we haven't met, makes Ramsay worse. Probably. That's what we think. Dagmar's doing that to Theon. He's not good for Theon at all. Every time Theon does something really violent, he either has just looked at Dagmar or Dagmar's close by. So...
And in the books, Reek, the first Reek was actually Ramsay, and I never would have thought that, that's actually Ramsay. That's not Reek. Reek is dead. Reek is pretending to be Ramsay Bolton, and Ramsay Bolton is pretending to be Reek.
Yeah, Ramsay was attached to Reek until he told him to dress up in his clothes, and then Reek dies. And then Ramsay turns Theon into Reek. I guess because he missed Reek. Hell, I don't know. That's twisted.
They had a weird relationship. But Ramsay is just... I wish they would have done it in the show, but I'm glad at how they introduced him anyway.
Yeah, some things don't translate, from book to, TV, which I get. But the relationship between Reek and Ramsay is weird as hell. And to be honest with you, I thought it might have been sexual, but I don't know.
Well, he's a sexual deviant, so...
and they both were. So, yeah, and we're telling y'all to read the book, so... They really are good, but... Awesome episodes. Again, man, I'm not going to give anything but a 10 out of 10 till we get to, 7? And I can't wait for the next two.
Yep.
Can't wait.
As always, it's Amanda here to say thank you to all of our listeners and to ask that if you liked this week's episode, leave us an honest rating. And if you'd like to continue the discussion, please feel free to comment on our post over at our Girls Nerd Out podcast account on Instagram. If you're interested in buying any of our merch to support the podcast and so that we can continue to release weekly episodes, then check it out over at girlsnerdoutpodcast.com. Our podcast logo was designed by Chairman Bilal over on Fiverr. Our podcast merch was put together by me, myself, and I at Southern Mother of Dragons on all social media. If you're interested in my personal merch, check it out at southernmotherofdragons.com, and the designs for that merch were put together by Ryuchi Studios on Etsy after an in-depth back-and-forth discussion with me to find the perfect merch for me and my loyal supporters. The music played while I tell you about all the ways you can support us and the production of the podcast is Kawaii Girl by Pumpkin Pie. Thanks for listening.
Hey, this is Andrea.
And this is Amanda. And you just